We've come to the end of Friendship is Magic. That's it. So many questions were finally answered, but many weren't, and any loose ends that haven't already been tied will never be. On one hoof, that's really sad, but on the other hoof, the world is now ours to fill in the spaces. No more debunked theories. No, seriously, the threat of new info tearing down my hard work has always loomed over my head. Most recently, my theory that Grogar was the group of stars that aided in Nightmare Moon's escape way back in Season 1. When I released that video, the rest of Season 9 had just leaked days before. And sure enough, 1,000 spoiling chatters spilled the tea. And by this point, we've seen it for ourselves. Grogar was actually Discord in disguise, setting up the ultimate obstacle for the newly ruling Twilight and her friends to solve. There are now 6 known alicorns in Equestria. That little Grogar equals Discord thing has become the new "you forgot about Flurryheart." He was actually Discord, yes, we know. But here's the thing, Grogar wasn't really Discord. I mean, in Season 9, yeah, but aside from Discord's performance, there was a real Grogar who had a real bell and a real history. Discord told the ponies himself, quote, "Chrysalis, Tyrant, and Cozy Glow now have all of the real Grogar's magic," admitting that Grogar wasn't just a useful legend he impersonated, but a historical figure. He may have never made an actual appearance in the show, but Grogar very much existed in the world of Friendship is Magic. When I realized this, I was relieved that my theory was still possible. The real Grogar may still have been banished to the stars, and may still have bailed out Nightmare Moon. So if you haven't seen that video yet and want to hear how I came to that crazy conclusion, check it out, I'm really proud of it. But not now, of course, because there's much more to this villain than just his potential banishment, and it's high time we talked about it. Throughout the episodes, we've learned bits and pieces about this Grogar guy, but let's try to put it all together. I think if we read between the lines of his past, we can form a full story of the earliest equestrian history, and the massive role Grogar played in it. Bigger than you might think. We know from the episode Frenemies that Gusty the Great stole Grogar's bell, the source of his power, marking an end to his tyranny. But there's gotta be more to the story than just that. One does not simply run into the most powerful being in Equestria, grab his power source, and canter off into the sunset. Grogar must have been compromised in some way, and I think I know how. This story seems to pick up where another story left off. One told in early Season 7, of all places. While babysitting Flurryface and visiting sick foals at the Ponyville Hospital, or should I say, Horspital, Twilight picks a book to read them called Gusty the Great. Fluffy Heart is wreaking havoc the whole time, but we still get to hear a good portion of the story, and this is interesting. While no pony had ever tried to reach Cloudsdale on hoof, Gusty the Great was not deterred. She and her unicorn warriors marched up the hill. But suddenly, they encountered the treacherous Grogar, and Gusty could tell he was ready for battle. She called out to the unicorn warriors, "We can fight Grogar together!" And they shot magical beams into the clouds that wove into one. The beam, stronger than 1,000 armies, shined down. It wrapped around Grogar and pulled him to the ground. "Don't let him escape," yelled Gusty. But Grogar was strong, for fear gave him power, and he broke through the bonds. Then,
"We can stop now if you want."
At that point, McFlurry's antics interrupted the story for good. But it's easy to see how those 2 stories, separated by 2 seasons, could fit together. A confrontation between Gusty and Grogar. We know how this ends. But there's still a missing piece here. Grogar had just broken through the bond, so Gusty couldn't have taken the bell then. And the Skybeam thing seemed like a final measure. If that didn't work, what could? Is it possible this was a separate story that ended in failure? Not so fast. Let's read that first line again. While no pony had ever tried to reach Cloudsdale on hoof, stop. Gusty and the Unicorn Warriors weren't set off to fight Grogar. He cut them off en route to Cloudsdale, a Pegasus City. Pegasusity. What was Gusty and a bunch of Unicorn Warriors doing marching to a Pegasus City in the first place? Well, they certainly weren't marching to war. For one thing, this is the story of a hero Twilight was reading to children. But also, this was before tensions between the tribes started rising, likely even before their precarious trade relationship. I think Gusty and the Unicorns may have been planning more of a first contact, a formal greeting, and an invitation to join forces against the evil Ram Tyrant. And from Grogar's perspective, what's worse than one army of ponies? 2 of them combining their strengths. Through his crystal ball, Grogar would have seen the Unicorn Warriors getting ready to team up with the Pegasus army. And what smart tyrant wouldn't have stopped them in their tracks? Things are beginning to add up pretty well here. Though the unicorns didn't end up reaching Cloudsdale, their confrontation with Grogar may have been close enough for the Pegasi to see. So if it weren't for Fuzzy Hat here, this is how I think Twilight's story may have gone. The warriors' unity was strong, but the fear Grogar struck in their hearts was stronger. It looked hopeless. But then, whoosh, they heard the flapping of wings up above. It was the Pegasi army charging Grogar from the sky. The unicorns, filled with new determination, joined the Pegasi in battle. But even still, Grogar seemed unbeatable, putting up a fierce fight to match their own. Gusty noticed a talisman around Grogar's neck and realized how they could still defeat him once and for all. "Everybody strike all at once," she cried. "I only need him down for a few seconds." The unicorns and Pegasi counted down from 3 and struck him with all their might. This gave Gusty just enough time to steal the bell, weakening the treacherous Grogar and ending his tyranny. To keep the land safe, she hit the bell atop a mountain and cast a spell to secure it in place. The end. If something like this is what went down, that would be amazing. Grogar would be the reason the tribes found out they could work together. Their victory over such a powerful villain would be an incredible display of unity. And moving forward into the post-Grogar era, teaming up and helping each other out would just be the next logical step. Even though it took the near disaster of heartswarming for the tribes to finally integrate into a single friendly society, their initial teamwork and cooperation paved the way for that giant change. And it could all be Grogar's fault. But I can do you one better. Say I'm wrong. Say these are two totally separate stories and the tribes never worked together to stop Grogar. What if I told you that the tribes themselves wouldn't even exist if it weren't for Grogar? That's right. The evidence lies at the very beginning. No, further back. Before the princesses, before the pillars, before heartswarming. Here. Well, not here, this was pretty recent. But what was said here? According to Tyrek, quote, "Grogar is ancient and extremely powerful. The land that would become Equestria was a mere collection of farms and pastures until he declared himself emperor of all he saw." It seems like this is the earliest known point in this world's timeline. I mean, what could have happened before this? The people of these farms and pastures were spread out and likely didn't interact much, if at all. That was what this world looked like at the beginning of Grogar's reign. But fast forward near the end of Grogar's reign, and things are clearly different. We're hearing about an army of unicorn warriors and a city of Pegasi. This tells us something very interesting, that during Grogar's reign, the land went from sparsely strewn farms and pastures to organized populations capable of forming armies. And it's not hard to see why. Without a force of evil to counter, there wouldn't have been a need for the spread out ponies to form tribes in the first place. So even if Grogar wasn't responsible for the alliance between the tribes, I'd say his actions definitely led to the alliance within the tribes. Especially looking at the Pegasi, this makes so much sense. Pegasi history is steeped in militism, from Flash Magnus to Commander Hurricane. The Pegasi army was a force to be reckoned with for ages, and it would be so fitting if they had their origin in an uprising against the evil first emperor of Equestria. So yeah, that's why I think Grogar is indirectly responsible for literally the rise of pony civilization, strange as that sounds. In review, Grogar took a bunch of scattered inhabitants and formed the first order this land had seen. As a response, ponies organized and revolted against him, ultimately taking him down. They replaced his rule with an agreement between the tribes. Unstable though it was, a crucial first step towards the unity they have today. Now, all of this is based on my interpretation of what little we know about Grogar in that era of history. So, what do you guys think? Given what we know, how does Grogar's rule fit into the history of the tribes and pony civilization? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Can I say something crazy? I want to start posting regularly again. It's been almost half a decade since I stopped posting weekly videos. My recent uploads have been pretty long, but also very infrequent. I want to take on some more digestible topics and post more often, every other week maybe. Now, I know with the show being, well, done, it's kind of insane to revamp the channel now of all times, but with a little help, we can make it happen. That's why I started a Patreon. Don't get me wrong, being subbed to this channel, liking and commenting will always be amazing ways to show your support. So no pressure to anyone who can't. But if you want to take the next step and support this channel financially, now you can. Even if it's just a couple bucks a month, every dollar counts. Not only will you be supporting my videos, you'll be getting some perks out of it. Basically, the amounts you pledge are split up into 3 tiers. The Earth Pony tier, the Unicorn tier, and the Alicorn tier, where just like Magical Power, each tier has more perks than the previous. I swear it's not racist. If you become an Earth Pony tier patron, I'll put your name or whatever title at the end of my videos. You'll also get behind the scenes stuff and access to my new Discord server I'm calling, wait for it, The Brony commotion. I know, right? If you become a unicorn tier patron, you get all of that, plus early access to my videos. And if you become an alicorn tier patron, you get all of the previous perks, plus a shout out at the end of my videos. A special thanks by name to my top contributors. The show may be over, but the world is still very much alive and waiting for us to rewatch, rediscover, and even learn something new. So if you want to help me explore the wonderful world of My Little Pony and make more videos possible, be sure to check out my Patreon. I'm so excited to see how this goes. This has been the Brony Notion, signing out until Friday after next. We'll see how every other Friday works. Wish me luck, Brohoof.